Hey guys, I'm Richard Fitzgerald. This is Dubai Works, where we interview the business leaders making a difference in this great city.
That business with scalability was very interesting to me.
I like building something that has legacy.
Good morning. Hi everyone. Welcome back to another week of Dubai Works Business Podcast. This week I'm with teleprompter's not working. Technical issues. Anyway, I'm looking forward to having a conversation with Charlie Weaving, the managing partner of LIVIT Hospitality, whose brands are well known in Dubai, Cove Beach, and the recently opened the bungalow at La Mer. We're going to be talking about the impact of COVID-19 on the F&B industry in general, LIVIT Hospitality's purpose, how it was set up as a F&B group in Dubai, and also talking about the summer months and how people are adapting to outdoor venues and the trends that we'll see in the industry. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. You're working from home somewhere, I assume.
I am today. I did manage to get the office open, but we have a hospital on the top floor of our building, and I think there was some movement this week with centralising some patients and things like that. So I just wanted to. I closed it again for this week. We'll get it open on Sunday. I just wanted to make sure that everything was okay for the team.
Okay, so just describe to people LIVIT Hospitality, how many kind of staff you have on an operational level, and how you've adapted to COVID-19.
Okay, so we opened LIVIT Hospitality here in Dubai just 1 year ago. It's pretty new. I've been based here for 15 years myself in the industry, born and raised in the industry. I opened it with some great friends, Mr. Munim Zawawi and Mr. Adil Ghazawi. Sounds similar, but not related. They were the owners and founders of Cove Beach. And the idea behind LIVIT Hospitality Management was to grow the brand Cove Beach into different locations, and a hotel resort model of Cove Beach as well. And also work alongside other partners that we have here in the region with creating homegrown content here, because I wave the flag for Dubai as being the highest standard in the world when it comes to F&B and hospitality. And I think the time has gone when we have to import international brands. I think now it's time Dubai is strong enough to create its own homegrown brands and export those. So they're the two focuses really: homegrown brands, exporting them, and growing the Cove Beach brand as well, which we've done very successfully in a very short period of time.
Interesting. Yeah, so just to give people a bit of context around hospitality groups, because a lot of people will be familiar with the F&B industry, the household names, the brands, the venues that they frequent, and they'll see a lot of the kind of activity online, and they recommend them to their friends. But generally, usually the venues are associated with a group, with a hospitality group. Is that the case in every market? How do you kind of set up and establish a hospitality group, and what does the group do? Does it own the... I could ask a few more questions, but just in general, in terms of the hospitality group setup, structurally, what is that?
So, I mean, there is obviously individual players in the market who own and operate their own venues. What we do is more fully comprehensive management. So, generally, I mean, we have different segments within our business model, but just talking about the first segment at the moment is mainly overall management of the venues. So we just add another layer in between the in-house management and the asset owner to make sure that every box is covered, every box is ticked, the business is running up to the high standard, as profitable as possible, and then we grow the business out for them. We do a lot of work with Miraz, we do a lot of work with the MENA Hotel Group, where we bring in a specialist F&B predominantly hospitality service, where we have back-end infrastructure of the best hospitality legal people, the best hospitality HR, procurement, finance, etc., and corporate chefs and directors of operations, just to take on these businesses and grow them for the asset owners.
Interesting. Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. In terms of, someone might run and manage their own restaurant. They might be a chef. They might be very good at that, but there's that kind of layer that goes on behind the scenes in terms of the business operations that say LIVIT Hospitality will be involved in as well as owning your own. And you mentioned a couple of the kind of areas that you can support in. Kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but does that uniquely position you now to be a little bit more agile than, say, the venue that has had to lock their door in terms of digital and adapting to the current situation?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that we're at the top of our game. We're constantly adapting our strategy. We've made a few moves to make sure that everything is under control. We're constantly communicate. Communication for me has been the key within this pandemic. Communicating with the teams to make sure that they understand that, listen, we're here, we're going through it with you, we're still going to be supporting you, and we're going to get out of this stronger together at the end. Communicating with suppliers across the board to say, listen, we're all in this together. We're going to take care of you. We're going to keep working with you. And yeah, I mean, it's been hard, but things are relaxing a little bit now, getting back to whether it'll ever be absolutely normal again. I think it might get quite close to normal. But we're looking forward. We're feeling positive, and we're never bend down without picking something up. It's been a bloodbath for everyone. We're looking forward very much towards the September time. That's when we're gearing up. We've got a couple of we've got Cove Beach Abu Dhabi opening up in September in Makers District with Imcan. We've got a very exciting new project going into the Avani Hotel in Ibn Battuta. Another project coming into Dubai as well, which isn't signed yet, so I can't really say much about that. We do have a project in Ibiza as well, STK Ibiza, which we're going to be getting open on the 9th of July. So Europe's going a little bit quicker than what we're doing here. And then we're going into the new year, and we're looking at 2021 as being a very, very exciting year. In these times, opportunities do arise.
That's great. So overall, the sentiment is looking to the future, positive, not a drastic wholesale change in the industry, just a disruption and then a gradual reintroduction. Yeah,
exactly. And obviously people are going to, due to what's happened, people are going to think differently about how they party, how they have dinner, etc. People are going to be naturally more hygiene conscious. I think the rules that have been put in place are very workable. I don't see why it's a problem for a waiter to be wearing a mask and gloves, and the tables being sanitized correctly, and the cutlery and crockery being washed in a different way to make sure it's 100% sterile. I think those are all things moving forward that you can keep in place. I think people are going to expect you to keep them in place. And even down to the spacing of the tables. I mean, does anyone really want to be sat less than 2 meters away from another group of people that they don't know? I personally don't like that. So if you're fortunate enough to have the space and you can get the numbers in to make it still commercially viable with having that distance, why not have that distance?
Interesting. A lot of Dubai venues do have the space, which is one of the kind of benefits. And as you mentioned as well, Dubai does have some of the best hotels and some of the best hospitality service anyway, so it's uniquely positioned. Just going back to, your venues are a lot to do with quality of produce, but also in the experience. Is that difficult to kind of, some venues have been able to keep going with delivery and with digital adoption. Has that been difficult to adapt for the venues that you manage?
I mean, the delivery element's not being too difficult, and the spacing element hasn't been too difficult either.
As in, sorry, the kind of food venues that use delivery apps or have their own to home service. Have you kind of there's some trends in the F&B industry to bring the experience to people's homes as they work
absolutely.
from home and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to thinking out of the box, isn't it? It's no longer just cruise control. You need to find more revenue streams, and I think again it comes back to people's mentalities. A lot of people here have pools in their garden, for example. They might want to, once we get out of this a little bit more, instead of going to a busy pool venue or beach venue, for example, they might want the venue to come to them. The same when it comes to restaurants as well. I think there's going to be a big growth spurt in taking the experience to people's homes, and I think that could end up being a good revenue stream as well, together with hotel suites.
Interesting.
People renting hotel suites and taking the experience of the venues within the hotel into the suites for people, and providing that convenience. A unique thing that I experienced recently was the first boat party went out, not boat party, but boat experience, big separations between tables, etc. I thought people were very sensible, and it worked very well. But the best thing that I took out of that was, obviously, because you're not allowed to go to the bar because you don't want people congregating, so they bring the bar to you. So no longer do you have to stand up and go to the bar. You can stay on your table and get served on your table. So
yeah, so the customer is actually going to win out of this. They just get more bespoke private service and experiences, which is great.
Exactly, and a more comfortable space.
Yeah. And the two venues that we mentioned, Cove Beach in Dubai and also the Bungalow, are in two kind of up and coming luxury areas, in Blue Waters and in La Mer. Can you talk about a bit of the decision making process of why you choose those areas, and what do you think people can look forward to in the future from those destinations?
Oh, Blue Waters, obviously, it's going to be iconic with the big wheel. We have a great relationship with Caesar's Palace. We actually operated Cove Beach at the Venus Pool in Las Vegas last season. That was supposed to be a seasonal thing, but obviously with what's happening, that's not happened. So it was a relationship with Miraz and with Caesar's Palace, and we just found a great space, 90,000 square feet, just the most incredible space you could imagine. And with Bungalow, again, due to our relationship with Miraz, obviously we're inside the Laguna Water Park, which is another signature asset of Miraz, and we just saw amazing growth potential with that product. We wanted to do something that was super casual, accessible, fun, but still with the food standards, the service standards that people expect within Dubai. And the growth potential at Bungalow is incredible. The space itself is huge. We've also got a big backyard where we plan to be doing little mini concerts, which we're going to have to rethink now, in the Bungalow's backyard, and actually grow out into the water park and start doing some nighttime events in the water park, etc. And then it turns into a very unique but big potential product.
So what do you think the secret is to attracting a vibe and an experience and making a place, an it place to go to? Do you think how do you do it?
Can't give away all the secrets. It's been 20 years of making mistakes to find the correct formula, and there is a correct formula. It does come down to the brand, the look, the feel, the elements within the venue. I try to tick as many boxes as possible. For example, with Bungalow, you've got the TVs, you've got the sports, you've got the gaming element, you've got the outdoor element, you've got the inside element, you've got the lounging element, you've got the restaurant element. Tick as many boxes as possible. And but it also comes down to the whole flow with inside the venue, where people come in, where people are positioning the right groups in the right place to build the vibe. Lighting is incredibly important. Music, not only the style of music, and the adaptation of entertainers as well. We really like an open format model. So a lot of our DJs, they can do a really long 4-hour tech house set, for example, but they can also do an R&B and hip hop set, and they work the crowd. They're testing it all the time. What is the crowd reacting to best, and then they go that direction. That's something that we really focus on, and it's a series of things that if you're not completely immersed in the industry, you can't understand how to position everything. It's like a jigsaw.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know too much about it, so it's always fascinating to see how places become popular. And when you go as a consumer, you know that they've done a lot of things right in terms of experience and things like that. So I was just wondering, it's interesting to say that there is a formula. In terms of a formula, might be experience and trial and error, but going back to what you said earlier about taking Cove Beach and bringing it elsewhere, is it plug and play, or how do you set up Cove Beach in, say, Bali? How do you make it work there?
First of all, you need to get everything 100% right before you even think about taking it to different places. It took us a while to get everything in order. We feel now that we have the infrastructure within LIVIT which manages the asset, and we feel that we've ironed out all of our normal issues that new businesses have. And then it's about the model that I like to use is 50, 25, 25. So you have 50% the original product, look, feel, you highlight which elements are essential to the business, whether it's the zoning side, it must have a lounge, it must have a certain amount of swimming pools, it must have a 2.0 restaurant, it must have a beach, it must have the artwork element, etc. Then we look at, so rolling out, you've got 50% the original model with the elements that are absolutely essential, 25% the region that you're going into. And I say that, for example, okay, in Dubai, our restaurant, we might be serving great sushi and using a certain type of fish. In Africa, when we roll it out to Africa, for example, that fish just isn't, it could be available, but not up to the highest standard. But there could be the most amazing fish that you can work with that's regional. So you're adapting 25% of the region. That might also be an element with the music, for example. And then you're taking into consideration another 25% of the wishes of the asset owner. What is his vision? What is his overall expectations, and what is his overall end goal with the product?
Interesting.
But to go back to your question, we've got it to a stage now where it is pretty much plug and play.
That's great. Yeah, because we see, as you mentioned before, brands that come here, and it does feel as if they've spent a long time. Say Nikki Beach, for example, I don't know exactly, but maybe it's going 10, 20 years. It's in many other countries. And then it comes here and you think that they've trial and tested for a while. And you wonder maybe that experience might work. I think I remember reading about a burger chain in the US, Five Guys, which is synonymous around the world, but they only had one venue after 17 years. So they had the same venue for 17 years before they even thought they were ready. So how have you got to that point so quickly with Cove Beach? Is it something that you knew from day one that you kind of hit on something that's a mixture of all those things and that is a strong brand?
We invested in our infrastructure to make sure that we had the absolute best corporate chef, the best director of operations, the best marketing team, the best PR team, etc. And we didn't wait 17 years like Five Guys, especially when it's so simple. But respect to them, they've done very well. We just wanted to get all of our ducks in a row, everything packaged up. We expedited it faster with investing in our infrastructure, and ready to make the move. I think the difference of what LIVIT does versus some other brands is that we have the brands, but we also have the comprehensive management. So we won't just license a brand. There's lots of brands that say, okay, give us X amount of money, we'll put the name above the door, we'll send you, these are our guidelines, now crack on. We don't do that. We are the brand and the operator.
Okay.
If we're the operator, we can make sure that it's constantly up to the standard of the brand. And I think we have enough common sense and experience between us to be able to adapt it to whatever territory we're in. That, okay, if it needs a little tweak, then we give it that little tweak.
Is there excuse my ignorance, but is there a specific trend or a term for the type of venues that you operate with music and entertainment and food and beach and things like that? Is that a specific niche?
I mean, we prefer the word lifestyle.
Yeah.
And we operate across all segments of the sector. So we do 3-star products all the way up to 7-star products. It depends on what the opportunity is in hand. We don't pigeonhole ourselves. We believe there's opportunities and there's money to be made across the board.
And talking about the money side of it, the F&B industry is, known to have kind of lowish margins, but scale and things like that. Say maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but 5 to 10% operating margin might be a standard. How do you work with that? Is that possible to achieve with high overheads and setup fees? Do you have to treat it like an initial upfront? So, almost like a tech company where you have to invest a lot up front before you can see a return? Or how do you look at it?
There's various different ways of skinning a cat. There's lots of people that prefer to do, lots of landlords now that prefer to do a JV model where you bring the brand and you bring the management and you do a percentage split. We would never do anything that had an EBITDA less than 25%. I think that's average for the sector. That becomes difficult with high-end products with high-end rents. The business is an incredible business. It's a very, very difficult business to get right. There's a lot of horror stories of people with a lot of money who want to get into the business because it's been their dream to have a restaurant or a club or a beach club or whatever, and it can go either way. It can be the worst business in the world because it does have a habit of eating money to keep those standards if you're not on the ball. But when you hit the sweet spot, it's the best business in the world.
Interesting.
Because it's a lifestyle as well.
Yeah. I want to talk about this region a little bit more, but just going back to that, and I read your profile on the LIVIT website, and you have a wealth of experience, as you said, but you know the UK market very well from hotel, from nightlife and entertainment. How do you think that differs to here? Do you think you could be doing LIVIT Hospitality in the UK as well at the moment? And yeah, how's your passion grown for this region?
I love this place. Dubai is my home. I've been here 15 years. I was traveling on my way to Asia in 2005, and I stayed in the marina in Al Futtaim Tower on a high level floor, and I looked out at the development of Dubai Marina, and I said, "Listen, I've got to be here. This is where the opportunities are." I went back home. I packed up, and I moved here with nothing, and I'm ready to go. When it comes to the focus on UK and Europe. Obviously, we have interest in the UK and Europe, and LIVIT focuses internationally. Our main focus, we're open to any opportunity, and we have an idea of where we want to go, but it all depends on the local partner, the situation. You know, we're open to anything. Africa is a big one for us. We've got a lot going on in Africa. Asia is the focus point for us as well.
Where in Africa, for example?
We've signed 4 hotels in Ethiopia.
Oh, wow.
So Ethiopia is incredible. What a beautiful country and a great opportunity. Yeah, Africa's a big sweet spot. Benin, we're doing Cove Beach resorts in Benin. Wow. We're doing Cove Beach resorts in Ivory Coast, and we're doing Cove Beach resorts in Cape Verde.
Oh, really?
Now, the beauty of this and how we can and how we're supporting our peers in our sector here is everything that we're doing in Africa and potentially soon in Asia as well is all Dubai driven. So all of our legal contracts are getting done by Dubai lawyers. All of our interior design, architectural design is getting done by Dubai architects and Dubai designers. All of our marketing is being channeled through Dubai marketing agencies. Our hit teams, which go into these businesses to get things on the feet, are all people that we employ here in Dubai as well. So that's something that I think, even though we're expanding into different countries, we're still pumping our sector here in Dubai as well.
So clearly you love it.
Getting excited about Africa. Yeah.
No, it's amazing, and also, you know, you've obviously seen it grow, and I think that's to have that perspective now makes, I think, people who've gone through a tough few months have confidence that it's going to bounce back. And I think the potential of Dubai in the region is enormous. Like sometimes in our space in media, but also in the F&B, you think of the current population, but actually if this city grows in the way that big global cities grew in the last few decades and the last century, then this city can grow 10 times bigger in different ways. So I think it's interesting to look at it that way as well. Like say, you know. Please.
I mean, we obviously, you know, we've had. Sorry to interrupt you. You know, we've seen elements of saturation certainly within the high-end restaurant market and high-end nightclub market. I think that's stabilised now. There is opportunities. I personally feel that we need to put in a few more accessible products into the market with a slightly lower price point. I think there is a slight gap there, and I think you know, Dubai will always get it right. We always come out strong. We always work the correct formula to make it happen. Tourists love Dubai. I saw an article the other day through British Tourism Association or whatever it was, and it showed the searches from April from British people searching for flights and hotels online, and it showed 2019 versus 2020, and it showed May, June, July, August, the searches were about 50% less than 2019, but September, October, November, December, they were nearly double to 2019. And the top 3 countries were, for the UK tourists, Spain, USA, and UAE.
That's amazing. That's really interesting.
So that's positive.
Yeah, on many levels, that's interesting, especially, you know, because you hear the trends that people are afraid to travel. So it's really good insight and statistic there. And also they say that the currency out of the UK at the moment isn't favorable to the UAE, but it's actually, it shows the kind of pulling power, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think people were scared of traveling throughout the summer, obviously because of what's going on. But I think people are gearing up now and changing their trends to this last quarter. I think this last quarter here in Dubai is going to be incredible, especially with the British tourists. You know, the government in the UK have done an excellent job as well. supporting businesses, and obviously furloughing with staff and things like that. So my theory is that UK is going to come out of this stronger as well, because the guys are there, they've been trapped at home, they've been getting 80% of their salary, but they've probably only been spending half of what they would normally spend because they haven't been able to go out. And I think once those restrictions are lifted in both areas, I think they're going to come flooding in.
Yeah.
And obviously they're not the predominant tourists for the UAE, but I think they play a big part of tourism for the UAE, and obviously they're a party crowd, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They like going out and eating and drinking, etc.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, people have been going to different Emirates, and that have different rules as well. But again, obviously your venues will have a lot of guidelines in place, and then people, might behave a bit differently. But in general, the service and the experience will still be there.
Absolutely.
Just going back, a question about operating out of Dubai for other markets. Does that put pressure on the overheads and the margins in those countries? Or how do you view that in terms of staff and resources on, say, Dubai salaries?
Yeah, it's a great question. Let's take Africa for an example. Ethiopia, incredible market. The capital of the headquarters for the United Nations, headquarters for African nations, more embassies than any other city in the world. It's a very, very, Addis Ababa is a very, very diplomatic city. There's plenty of asset owners there that understand that there's not enough hotel rooms. There's not enough F&B offering. There's a very high population of people with disposable income that need better experiences there. And we're only 3 hours away from Ethiopia here in Dubai, 1 hour time difference, I believe, from Addis Ababa. And our partners in those territories are actually not only from a service perspective, but from a product perspective as well. They're buying glass for their buildings from Dubai. They're buying cement from Dubai for their buildings. They're even buying vehicles from Dubai and exporting them over to Ethiopia. Obviously, there's a big difference in payroll, etc. But the revenue generated from these hotel projects, especially in Addis Ababa, are not far off the same revenue that you would be generating here in Dubai.
Wow.
So if you've got a base team which are local, and then you're injecting the talent from Dubai, which is obviously a lot higher payroll, it still keeps your overall payroll 10% less than any other country in the world, because the base team is very, very low price-wise, and the income and the profitability is very high. A hotel room in Addis Ababa is €200 to €300 a night, dollars a night, if you can get one.
Wow.
Going out and dining, I mean, you're very, very limited. It's like Dubai 15 years ago. The nice restaurants are only in the higher end hotels, but they're hotel operated restaurants. They're not specialist lifestyle hospitality operated restaurants. The opportunity there is insane. The price point is similar to Dubai, and when you look at it on paper, you think, wow, okay, that's a bit shocking. How can the partners agree to that? But when you actually look at your operating budget, it all works, and a lot of the partners are saying, listen, we're bringing you guys in because we need that international standard, we need that international support, we need those international brands. And if we're not doing this half-hearted, we're wealthy people. There's a lot of money in Africa, and they want to do it properly.
It's actually interesting to hear that kind of hub and spoke model, and to focus on Dubai, because a lot of companies, maybe not as much in the F&B sector, but in the services sector, might have call centers in other cheaper markets, or might outsource different things. And I think even in the media sector, we might look at other countries in the region, and by doing what you're doing and by learning from that, people can not just see as Dubai as, the most expensive place to have staff, but there's, a more maturity that it's not just, say, in the past where it's mercenaries and it's seen as a small stint, but you can actually have a regional or a global, in your case, headquarters here with everything done from here, and then in that kind of partnership local model as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's quite interesting you said that about the call centers. Yeah, it's not far off. We know that he has got the best talent pool in the world, in my opinion, when it comes to the staff for our sector, and we're right in the middle of the world. It's easy for us to get everywhere, and people want our standards. People come to Dubai because it's the most luxurious, it's the most high standards. And now we just looked at it. Okay, let's explore our standards.
Interesting. Talking about talent and staff, how do you go about training people in? Are they from hospitality courses in Dubai? Do you bring them in? How do you get them on brand? And also, how have you kind of worked with that in the last few months? Obviously, without the venues being open.
I mean, we have dedicated training managers who are constantly in the venues focusing on the training. We have all of our manuals to a very, very high standard, which has been all of our different experiences put into place. And regarding operating outside of Dubai, we have a hit team. So we send in a couple of operations managers, we send in our corporate head chef, we send in our HR manager, we send in one of our finance guys, we send in our beverage manager, and they go into these venues about 2 months prior to opening. Super aggressive training program, and then they stay in the venues until they are confident that everyone is up to standard.
Okay.
And then on an every 2-week basis, you'll get one of those departments going over to check up and brush up on what's happening and what's being done to make sure that we're operating to the standard that we need.
And moving forward on that as well, the career opportunities for people in your venues, working upwards, getting promotions and things like that, and going to other places around the world, is that something that you look to establish and encourage? Absolutely. Everyone that's in our corporate office now has grown through the ranks, whether it's in our venues, whether it's in partners' venues, whether it's in my own personal venues, whether it's I've worked with them 10 years ago, 15 years ago in the past. We love to grow. We love to see people coming through the ranks. And that's a big ethos for us. We don't just go out and get the big CV from the guy who's got the best qualifications. We want people to have come through our ranks and be rewarded for the hard work and commitment that they've given to us or me or my partners over the years. Given your location here, I'm sure you've looked at Saudi Arabia. What are your views on that market? Have you anything in the pipeline there? And how would you tailor your product for that market?
I mean, it's a very, very exciting market. We have had opportunities come in front of us for Saudi Arabia, obviously, and they continue to come. My partner, Adel Ghazawi, is actually quite a prominent businessman from Saudi Arabia. So I'm really letting him take the lead on that, because when he says, okay, this is the right opportunity, then we'll pull the trigger.
And the right time as well.
The right time.
Because I think part of the kind of Vision 2030 over there is a lot to do with hospitality staff and providing employment to Saudi nationals in venues and things like that. Would that play a part? You mentioned, at Asaba, there's a lot of staff there that can work in your venues. Is that something that you would, that 25% that your venues in Saudi would be managed and operated by local people?
Absolutely. If you've got the heart for the business and you really want the job, anybody is trainable.
So,
and when
yeah, please continue. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and whether they're new to the business or they've been in a different part of the business. when you train, it's not only an advantage for the business, it also gives the team member that you're training, a real passion, and it shows them that the operator is investing in them as well. If you've got people on 2-week payroll, that you're paying the payroll prior to opening, people are thinking, wow, these guys are paying me, they're not even open, they're paying to invest their time and energy into me. And that gives you a lot of loyalty moving forward as well. People are less likely just to, when things get a bit tough, and it's been a 15-hour shift and it's hot and it's outside, they're less likely to throw in the towel.
Just going back to Saudi, how do you view that market? Would you do something on the coast in Jeddah or in Daman? Would you do something in Riyadh, or would you wait for, say, the Red Sea development to come up, or do you look at them all as opportunities?
I was just about to say that. I don't pigeonhole anything. Obviously I take note of what's going on and what potential opportunities and what could be the ideal opportunity, but it all comes down to what is that specific opportunity? Who is the local partner? What do they bring to the table? What is the bigger plan? And so you assess everything individually. Okay. I want to ask a little bit about the future and digital trends, but just at the moment, there'll be a lot of venues who are closed and in Dubai. What would your advice be to some of them who, mightn't see better times ahead, might be thinking of closing? Do you think that there's a time to fight and a time to give up on a project? And what's your kind of experience on that? Yeah, it's another great question. I would say to them, hang on tight as long as you can. Keep communicating and being transparent with everyone. Don't hide. Communicate with your landlord. Say, listen, it's my honest situation. This is where I'm at. Communicate with your team. Communicate with your suppliers. Exhaust it. Exhaust every possible avenue. Whether it's you completely change your model into a delivery model, or you change locations, or you go into a satellite kitchen because you're seeing that your restaurant's not getting full, but you're smashing it on Deliveroo, for example. Really analyze the business and push as hard as you can down every avenue. Now, if it gets to a certain stage where it's just not happening, then in my experience, you can't get too personally in love with these businesses. You can't have ego. It's the hospitality sector, restaurant, bars, nightclubs, beach clubs, opening and closing all the time. It doesn't matter how good you are. You're always going to have a couple that just end up after a certain amount of time, or due to certain circumstances, just don't work. And my advice from a business perspective would be, cut when it's the right time to cut, and don't have shame that you've had to do that.
Not be emotionally attached, but also do everything you can. But then probably not pivot too much. If your venue was busy beforehand, not to change too much now, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, adapt.
Okay.
Adapt to what you've got to deal with.
What about the digital trends? You mentioned Deliveroo, and at this time, people are writing about how travel might change, how experience might change. They're talking about lots of different things, software with hardware, with things like that. Are you looking for LIVIT? Are you looking at changing anything digitally at the moment?
I mean, when it comes to marketing, obviously, we're a huge part of our marketing. Most of our marketing is digital, and that's an important element. When it comes to apps and things like that, of course, you're going to have to implement some clever things within the venues. The QR scan where it goes onto your phone and you can order from your phone to give minimal contact. I think that's quite nice anyway. It also saves money on printing menus and things like that. And yeah, I mean, as these things come about, of course, we'll adapt.
And also, do you have kind of loyalty programs, and are you building apps for LIVIT or for Cove Beach, or is there anything like that?
We are looking at, we've got a lot of different things going on where we're looking at turning our websites into e-commerce platforms, working with strategic partners, art galleries, fashion labels, things like that, where we can, we've got that lifestyle element on the app, and we can channel some good people to them, and we get exposure from them, etc. We're looking at a lot of digital things. We have a good membership program at Code Beach, and I'm sure towards the end of the year we'll be looking more seriously into the loyalty program side of things as well.
Interesting. Well, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for your time today. It's great to hear the
Thank
background
you.
and the faces behind these well-known brands. Can people go to Cove Beach now and the bungalow, or what's your kind of opening roadmap for the summer?
Beach is open. We're following the guidelines, safety guidelines in place, but we're open daily from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m., 11 p.m., whenever the curfew is, which day you go. Bungalow is closed at the moment till September, just because it doesn't have a beach or a pool facility, so it's just very, very hot there. So we're gearing up to open Bungalow in September, and looking forward to welcoming you.
Interesting. Amazing. Thanks a lot, Charlie. Good to speak to you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Safe. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Hey guys, I'm Richard Fitzgerald. This is Dubai Works, where we interview the business leaders making a difference in this great city.
That business with scalability was very interesting to me.
I like building something that has legacy.